In a few weeks' time, Chief Justice Willy Mutunga's portrait will be hanging up on this wall among the former occupants of this office. For Mutunga, he will have the distinct honour of having served as the first Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court under the 2010 Constitution. And as he prepares to exit the door at Supreme Court buildings, the queue to succeed him growing longer by the day.
Everybody is angling to have a control over that particular process because of the importance of that particular position.
From the executive to the opposition to the judiciary and even cartels of lawyers, the Mutunga succession machine is in full throttle.
What is at stake, basically, in respect of the succession of the Chief Justice, is the control of the Supreme Court. For purposes of the expected presidential election petition come 2017. That's basically the bottom line.
Although the situation remains fluid with certain names popping up as others fizzle out, some names remain a constant. Among these include Supreme Court Judge Justice Smokin Wanjala, President of the Appeals Court Justice Kihara Kariuki, and Justices Isaac Lenaola and Sagam Bogoli of the High Court. Others are Attorney General Professor Githu Muigai, former Speaker of Parliament Kenneth Marende, and former Chair of the Constitution Implementation Committee Charles Nchai. Justice Kihara Kariuki's name has been featuring consistently among lobbyists. Kihara, who joined the bench in 2003, is said to be widely supported within the judiciary. A judge of the Supreme Court who spoke to Citizen TV off record described Kariuki as a thoroughbred legal mind who for the moment is a first among equals in the race to succeed Mutunga. Similarly, Kariuki seems to enjoy the backing of State House operatives, which could be a decisive factor. But what may work against him are dynamics that may be well beyond his control, that of ethnic and regional balancing.
It is not wise and it will not be constitutional for all the heads of the three arms of government to come from one region and from one community. That, in my opinion, I think is something that we will not agree to, despite the process being competitive.
These seats are not seats which you can apply the principle of negative discrimination, which means that, look, because you come from this community, you are not eligible to this particular seat, or because there's someone from your community who is already a Supreme Court judge, you have no chance of getting into the Supreme Court. It would actually be a very unfortunate precedent.
Such dynamics may also apply to Attorney General Githu Muigai, who is said to be keen to succeed Mutunga. The 56-year-old has served as the government's chief legal advisor since 2011, with his term set to end in 2019. Muigai was initially the preferred choice of State House operatives, but he seems to have fallen off the State House radar, at least for now. Justice Isaac Lenaola has served for the last 13 years as a High Court judge and is the youngest in the list, as he is set to turn 49 this year. And that is what is said could be his undoing. At that age, he can only serve as Chief Justice for 10 years and still have another 10 years before reaching the retirement age of 70. Apparently, few stakeholders, both in the legal and political circles, want a Chief Justice to stay for long.
Part of the consideration in terms of the political interest is to recruit a Chief Justice who is going to exit in the next probably 3, 5 or so years. Because once a person forms a government or a party forms some government, there will be no sure on the thinking of the Chief Justice who is in place, because he does not, in their view, or allegiance to them.
Lenaola's colleague in the High Court, Sagam Bogoli, is also being touted as a potential Chief Justice. He is 64 years old and has served as judge for 29 years. His experience, age, plus perceived support within the corridors of justice also put him in good stead as a potential Chief Justice. At the same time, both Lenaola and Bogoli appear to enjoy support from the URP wing of the Jubilee Coalition, who are keen to push for regional and ethnic balance. Lenaola is a Samburu, while Bogoli is a Taita. Justice Smokin Wanjala, meanwhile, has a head start as a Supreme Court judge. Insiders in the judiciary says Wanjala appears to enjoy the support of Mutunga. He worked as an assistant director at the defunct Kenyan Anti-Corruption Commission for 5 years between 2004 and 2009. He became a judge in Kenya's first Supreme Court, but that the 56-year-old hasn't been a judge for so long is what could work against him. He also has a background in civil society, just like Mutunga, and the criticism that he could be an activist Chief Justice, as Mutunga has been labelled, could also work against him.
There's a feeling that a person who came from outside the institution does not understand the intricacies in the relationships in the institution and how to subtly navigate all the different interests and camps. We saw this even with the former Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, Gladys Sholei, who was accused of having come in very forcefully.
The list of those angling to succeed Mutunga will definitely grow, and the dynamics will change as we get closer to June when he leaves office. The dynamics are set to get even more complex with the battle to control the Judicial Service Commission, which oversees the process. For Sunday Live, I'm Hussein Mohammed.